We begin on Capitol Hill, where the U.S. government remains in a partial shutdown, now entering its third week. Last night, the Senate held another vote on legislation aimed at ending the impasse, which began on October 1st. The 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time vote was the latest in a series of attempts to fund federal agencies and get hundreds of thousands of federal employees back to work. Since the shutdown began, numerous government services have been curtailed, national parks have closed, and federal workers have been furloughed or are working without pay, creating growing economic uncertainty for many families. The deadlock stems from ongoing and often contentious negotiations between lawmakers over key budget provisions. As of this morning, the outcome of last night's vote has not broken the stalemate, and leaders from both parties remain in talks, searching for a compromise that can pass both chambers of Congress. The procedural vote required a 60-vote threshold to advance the funding bill, a high bar in the closely divided Senate. While the exact details of the bill have shifted during negotiations, the core disagreements appear to revolve around spending levels for various domestic programs and border security measures. For the millions of Americans who rely on federal services, from processing Social Security benefits to passport applications, the shutdown is causing significant delays and frustration. Business owners who work with federal agencies are also feeling the strain, with contracts and payments on hold. The coming days will be critical in determining whether this latest legislative push can gain traction or if the country is in for an even longer period of governmental disruption. While lawmakers grapple with the budget, another branch of government is tackling a case with profound implications for the nation's political landscape. Today, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments in a high-profile case, Louisiana versus Calais, that could fundamentally alter how congressional districts are drawn. At the heart of the case is the practice of race-based redistricting and a key provision of the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965. The court is considering whether a lower court's order to create a second black-majority congressional district in Louisiana is constitutional. Proponents of the new map argue it is necessary to ensure fair representation for the state's significant African American population in accordance with the Voting Rights Act, which was designed to prevent discrimination against minority voters. However, opponents, including the state of Louisiana, argue that creating the district constitutes an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, where race is the predominant factor in drawing the lines, rather than other traditional redistricting principles, like keeping communities intact. Court experts suggest the conservative majority court seems poised to rein in the practice, which could have far-reaching consequences. The outcome could directly impact the balance of power in the U.S. House of Representatives, where Republicans currently hold a razor-thin majority. The specific congressional seat at the center of this legal battle is currently held by Democratic Representative Cleo Fields. A ruling that outlaws or significantly curtails the use of race in redistricting could lead to maps being redrawn in several states, potentially shifting a number of seats and influencing control of Congress for the next decade. Staying with news out of Washington, a new political battle is brewing between House Republicans and the Department of Justice. The House Judiciary Committee has formally demanded that former special counsel Jack Smith testify before Congress. The request, detailed in a letter sent by Chairman Jim Jordan, comes after reports indicated that Smith's investigation into former President Donald Trump had obtained the phone records of sitting Republican lawmakers. Jack Smith led two high-profile federal investigations into the former president. The first concerned allegations related to the January 6, 2021 Capitol breach, and the second involved the alleged mishandling of classified documents stored at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. In his letter to Smith, Chairman Jordan wrote that the former special counsel's testimony is, quote, necessary to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. The committee alleges that Smith has failed to respond to previous, less formal requests for information. This demand for testimony escalates the conflict between House Republicans, who have long accused the DOJ of political bias, and the Justice Department under the current administration. It's important to note that this is a request for voluntary testimony at this stage, not a subpoena. There has been no public response from Smith or his representatives regarding the committee's letter. In a separate and serious matter of national security, federal prosecutors have unsealed charges against a senior advisor at the U.S. State Department. Ashley Tellis was arrested on October 11th and is accused of taking thousands of top-secret documents and meeting with officials from the Chinese regime. According to an affidavit filed in the District Court of the Eastern District of Virginia, the alleged criminal activity dates back to 2022. Tellis held a top-secret security clearance, granting him access to some of the nation's most sensitive information. Prosecutors allege he abused this access, unlawfully retaining national defense information. The court documents detail specific instances where Tellis allegedly downloaded and saved classified files onto his personal devices. The information reportedly included sensitive details about U.S. fighter aircraft, advanced weapons capabilities, and other defense-related matters. The accusation that he also met with Chinese officials multiple times adds a grave dimension of potential espionage to the case. The Department of Justice has not commented further on the ongoing investigation, but the arrest of a high-level official with such deep access to classified material is a significant security breach that is sure to have repercussions within the intelligence community and the State Department. Finally, turning to international trade, President Donald Trump has once again raised the prospect of a trade conflict with China. In a statement on social media yesterday, Trump threatened to terminate U.S. trade with China for certain goods, specifically mentioning cooking oil as what he termed retribution. The president's threat is linked to his claim that Beijing is purposefully refusing to buy American soybeans. He described this action as an economically hostile act that is causing difficulty for American soybean farmers, a key political constituency. During the trade war of his presidency, agricultural exports, particularly soybeans, were at the center of retaliatory tariffs between the two nations. In his statement, Trump suggested that the United States does not need to import products like cooking oil from China, claiming the U.S. could easily produce it domestically. While the U.S. is a major producer of soybean oil, the global market for cooking oils is complex, with significant imports and exports of various types. This new threat signals that trade tensions with China remain a potent political issue, highlighting the ongoing economic friction between the world's two largest economies and the potential for renewed disputes.